Hey there, everybody. Zach Dibmars here from Fish Talk Magazine. Thanks for joining us tonight for another installment of Live with Lenny. It's hot out there. It was 95 degrees on my way home from today's fishing trip. We're going to be talking about the hot bite out there on the bay, and we're also going to be talking about catching some alternative species in the month of August. I'd like to bring on our host, Mr. Lenny Rudo, Fish Talk Angler in Chief. What's happening, Lenny?
Not much. What's going on, Zach? You look a little
Well,
tired.
someone made me get up at like 5 a.m. Today to go catch massive oceanic species.
Hey, come on. It was a fun fishing
It was
trip.
a fun fishing trip.
We didn't catch anything big, but we did catch our target species of pufferfish. And I think we got in total, what, six?
Yeah, who caught the biggest puffer fish of the day?
Yeah. I know.
Hey, micro fishing is fun.
It is. It is. It was a good time. And we caught the target species. And, it was awful hot out there. And man, I am tired too. I got to admit.
It's always worth it losing a little shut eye for some day in the water with some good fishing friends. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And fortunately, we got a whole lot of bites going on right now. My gosh, we're gonna run through Max and Blues today because that's one that now is available to probably most Fish Talk readers. The guys far up north probably can't get to them, but we're gonna have some stuff for you guys too. So don't worry. First, of course, we're going to give away the invasive species contest winners of the month, and you folks are going to win some stuff. But I think we have a couple of announcements before we get started, don't we, Zach?
sure do. Lots of upcoming events. We still have in the home stretch of summer here, but lots of cool things coming up in the month of August. We have a full lineup of upcoming events at fishtalkmag.com. But we'll give you a few highlights right here. So on August 20th in Annapolis, CCA is hosting Conservation Night Out. We're going to have Executive Director Dave Skorsky from CCA speaking on behalf of various things in the Bay. Seven Rivers Association representatives will be there. I think some CBF people. So it's at West End Grill Thursday, August 20th. So head on over to ccamd.org and there's an RSVP. It's free, of course, but it's a smaller room. It holds about 40 to 50 people. So definitely sign up for that.
I'm planning on being there. Are you going to be there?
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And you have a fish talk coming up, correct?
I do. On the 18th, I'll be at the Essex Middle River Fishing Club. They meet at the FOP Lodge. Hold on a minute. I have it right here. It is in Middle River. It's Lodge 34. Doors open 6:30. I'll come on around 7. And I think it's going to be a really fun one, Zach, because we're going to do a Ask Me Anything, where basically, folks, you can just pepper me with questions about any different kind of fishing here in Chesapeake Country. And just for the record, I also want to mention, don't forget, plug your questions into the comments, please. That is why we do this. It's why we go live. It's so we can respond to your questions. We can get them answered. If I don't know the answer, we'll see if we can find out the answer. And so just plug your questions right on into the comments at any time. What else we got, Zach?
Well, of course, it's the White Marlin Open down in Ocean City. I saw a
The
big
what? The what?
the white perch open was last weekend. I think at Victory Point. No, of course, saw a big white marlin came in today. I didn't see it was heading to the scales, and they thought it might be taking the lead, so have to check that. But lots of exciting stuff going on down in Ocean City this week. The end of the month down in Southern Bay, Legacy Marine is doing Friday night concerts, so check that out. Visit their website for more information.
And that should be a fun event. That is on the 28th. I think I'm going to go down there for that one. I'm not making any promises yet because that's a long drive for me. But if I can make that one, I'm going to. That's also in cooperation with CCA. And Legacy is a great outfit. It's a great bunch of folks. We've been down there. We spent a couple of days down there, Zach.
Yep, Yorktown.
Yeah. And they're just very cool people, and they're doing very cool stuff. And they got a lot of really cool boats. So I might want to go on down there for that one.
And
I think that's going to be fun.
The Super Bowl in our world, the Super Bowl for us is coming up in October. So save the date. Maybe get your tickets we have the Annapolis Powerboat Show coming up October 8th through 11th. And
That's right. There are
fish
going to
off,
be a lot of fishing boats on display, people. If you're looking for a new boat, this is going to be the place to be. No question about it.
anyway, hop on over to our website for all the upcoming events. And we usually tack a bunch of those onto our Facebook page as well. So follow us there.
All right. Should we give away some stuff? I love giving away stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Great Chesapeake's invasives count species. Uh, excuse me, invasives count. Uh, People, if you watch this or if you pay attention to CCA, or even if you're just out there reading Fish Talk, you've seen it on the pages of the magazine. The Great Chesapeake Invasives Count is a really cool kind of. It's sort of like a tournament, but it's sort of not. Put on by CCA, and basically, when you catch a blue catfish, a flathead catfish, or a snakehead, you just take a picture of it on the ruler. If you gut it and show the stomach contents and take another picture, you get double bonus points. And the information goes to fisheries scientists. It helps them figure out exactly where these fish are, what they're eating, what they're doing. And the cool thing is, it's completely free to join in this program. And when you do so, your name gets entered into the hat every time you take one of these pictures to win a prize. And these are pretty cool prizes, as you're about to see. Zach, what do we got? What do we got? Darren Crew is going to win the Engel Cooler. Darren, that's a heck of a prize, man. I'm telling you right now, those are some sweet coolers. You are going to be psyched. Good job catching that fish. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a blue cat, a flathead cat, or a snakehead, but man, there you go. Andy Blagus, you're going to get the toadfish pack. Am I looking at that picture right? You get 4 fillet knives?
I believe so.
That is sweet. All right. Congratulations, Andy.
No promises here.
Jeff Loma, the Engel Cooler 19 dry box. Now, I think you have one of those, don't you, Zach?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Do you like it?
They're great. They actually hold like 6 snakeheads, medium size.
How would you know?
My friend didn't want it. And he wanted a thing, and he pawned it off on me because it was too. It hurt his eyes. It was so bright, but it's like a.
Well, he gave you 6 snakeheads to put in the cooler, right?
No, I get those myself.
All right, who do we got next?
I had a snakehead jump out of one of those once. It was dispatched, and it still reanimated and jumped out of the cooler and swam off.
They're tough to kill.
They are. Like Steven Seagal. Hard to kill. Dating myself on that one.
Ted Karski. Hey, Ted, what's happening? Congratulations. You're getting the Tochterman's Tackle Kit. And you know what? Tochterman's is an awesome shop. They have been around forever. It is literally the oldest family-owned tackle shop in operation continually on the face of the planet. And it's a very cool place. It's very cool people. And you're going to win a very cool kit, Ted. Congrats.
Ted submitted so many fish that he got tired of winning prizes every month that he said, guys, you don't have to keep giving me prizes. But he keeps submitting so many fish. He hasn't won this prize. So
there's a new one.
You can win every month. You can win every month. Just keep submitting.
And the more of those fish you enter, the more times you snap that pic and send it in, the more chances you get. Zach Ditmars. Come on, are you serious? A dry bag backpack.
This doesn't seem right. How can I win? What's going on here?
Well, congratulations, Zach.
That was for a 28-inch snakehead I submitted last month.
Oh, very nice. Nice snake. That's a good one.
It was delicious. And that's all we have. So register for free at ccamd.org. And this goes all through March, and it will reset next year or February. Anyway, and you can catch blue cats all winter long if the weather's right.
And Zach, please remind everybody, if you just won, people, if you just saw your name pop up there, what do you do to get your prize?
Um, well, I think they should have your email. They should have reached out to you if you did not hear from them. Um, just shoot an email to information at ccamd.org. And but I already was notified, so everyone else should have been as
Oh,
well.
great.
They are on the top of it.
Excellent. Excellent. I am not shocked. CCA has some very good people working for
Indeed.
them.
As well as a awesome stable of volunteers, always looking for more. They're starting a chapter in Howard County. If you're in that region, there is an upcoming event at Grotto Pizza in Howard County. Check the CCA website event page for that. So they're starting a new chapter. And anyway, all the events are always free. And there's a happy hour in Southern Maryland coming up at the Tiki Bar. We have a Greater Washington as well. So all kinds of good things happen. If you're interested in CCA, it's always a great group of people, great mission. If you want some like-minded folks to hang out with, again, and there's tons of other fishing clubs as well throughout the state. We have a whole list of those clubs on our website, and it's a great thing to do. Join a fishing club. Most of them are free. If there's a dues, it's usually small.
And you should join CCA. I mean, really, if you're an angler in Maryland, you've got no excuse to not belong to CCA. I mean, they are our voice at the table. They are at all the meetings that affect us anglers, all the as the regulations are promulgated, and they're doing a great job rebuilding habitat in the Chesapeake Bay as well. I can't tell you how often I fish like Tillman Reef or the Cook Point Reef Balls. Those spots hold fish, and they hold fish because CCA has built the reef balls and put them there. And by the way, those reef balls are built in a number of different ways by a number of different people, but often by school kids. And they're learning at the moment how these structures help improve the habitat in the bay for the fish, for the crabs, for all the little critters that start the food chain that result in you and me going out and actually catching fish. So, like, it is really important. It is a really good thing. And, you've probably heard me say it a million times, but join CCA. You really should be. And just for the record, I'm a lifetime member. I have been for years. It's a superb organization that is doing the job for us anglers. All right. Why don't we go ahead to slide number 1 and start talking about the current bite. And actually, Zach, before we even go into the current bite, we should probably give a quick recap one today just for those who are interested in fishing the Point Lookout area. That's where we fished today. Now, when we got down there this morning, our intent was to go for specks and reds. We made an attempt at it. The truth is, it was really blowing first thing today. The weatherman was dead wrong yet again. And we tried to fish the jetties, and it was pretty much impossible. So we went inside. We looked for reds. We didn't find any. Eventually, the wind did calm down, and that was when we got our puffer fish. So that was pretty darn awesome. Now, we had talked about, hey, maybe we'll see some birds. If we do, we'll run over, see if they're blues and macks. We did not see that. But we did see, what did we see? Remember, we saw one. We saw one mackerel do this one time and sent about 8,000 casts in its direction instantaneously and did not catch it. But be that as it may, it was kind of an off day, really, for general species other than the pufferfish. We did go on the pufferfish. What else did we catch? We caught a sea robin, a couple sea robins, which was interesting. You caught the big fish of the day, which was an accidental rockfish. We were not going for them.
I look like a striped perch to me.
A striped perch, yeah. But the bottom line is, you know what? That's fishing. That's how it goes. Some days it happens. Some days it doesn't. Some days the weather defeats you. And, you got to bob and you got to weave. But that said, go ahead and bring up slide number 1. We'll start talking about the current bite. One a lot of people are interested in right now is, of course, cobia. All of us look forward to it when these fish come to the bay. I know I sure do. They are big. They are brutes. However, The vast majority of those that we're hearing about these days are like this guy. They are undersized. There have been a lot of small ones around this year. A lot of people have been picking them up. There have not been a heck of a lot of big fish caught. If you want to go for them, really your best bet is to go all the way down the bay. You want to be all the way down there, really right at the mouth, just inside the CBBT, that kind of zone. But even there, it has not been what you'd call an epic bite. Some fish are being caught, some keepers are being caught, but there are a lot of these like 30, 32 to like 38-inch cobia rounds. So, that bodes well for the future. But as of right now, that's mostly what's happening. And Zach, you and I went for cobia. Gosh, what was it? I guess it was a solid month ago now. And that was what we caught. We caught a couple of cobia, and they were undersized fish. We did not catch one that was over the size limit. And most of the ones that we're hearing about right now are actually getting caught on these guys. Why don't you make me big, Zach? Can you make me big real quick? It's the hoses, the red hoses, and you run them behind the planer and troll them along. And it's not always the most effective way to go for them. A lot of guys like to sight fish for them. Chumming is often highly effective. But this year, for whatever reason, maybe just because they're scattered around, and I don't know, maybe the size has something to do with it. But the hoses just from the reports, judging from the reports, the hoses really seem to be doing more of the catching than anything else. All right, go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would, please. The croaker in the spot. Fish like croaker and spot, these bottom fish, they don't make the headlines, right? They're usually not what gets a whole bunch of people excited. But if you're going to take a kid fishing and you want fast action, they're your best bet. And this year, I have seen more keeper croaker than I have seen, my gosh, in probably 10, 15 years since they disappeared. Now, they haven't been big giant ones. They haven't been 18-inch croaker. They haven't been 20-inch croaker. They've been 10-inch croaker, 10.5-inch, 11-inch. They're keepers, so you can take them home, fry up some fish for dinner. I've done that a couple of times. And they're in really good numbers. The last time I went for them, it was a few weeks ago, was in the South River on the oyster bar. They've been on oyster bar bottom is where you want to go. They were biting bloodworms and fish bites bloodworms. And I want to say we took home 8 keepers in an afternoon of fishing. And then we also had some spot that were out. They were pretty darn big. And some of the spot were as big as the croaker. They were 10-inch spot. So heck, they're good eating. We were putting them in the cooler too and taking them home. That's been going on really up and down the bay, pretty much anywhere on the Chesapeake, say from, I don't know, basically Baltimore clear down to the bridge tunnel. You can find these fish, and it's really great to see those keeper size croaker coming back. I hope that's a trend that continues in the future years here. Really, really happy about that. So that's an awesome option. Again, it may not be the glory fish, but if you want to catch something for dinner, you want to take a kid fishing and get a jerk on the end of his line, that's going to be tough to beat. And remember, bloodworms and fish bites bloodworms. Those are your two options. It may not make the headlines, but these are cool fish. They're a lot of fun, and you get dinner out of it. All right, Zach, go ahead and take us to the next slide, please. The blue cats. In case you can't tell, this is up on the Susquehanna. And for you guys up north, when the rockfish get shut down, you don't have a whole lot of options. This is one, and this is a really good one because some of these fish are really big and they're available in really good numbers. You can catch them on all different kinds of cut bait. Heck, Fish Bites has a catfish bait now. You can just get a bag of Fish Bites catfish and stick them on a hook and flip them out there. Basically, right now, you're looking on channel edges. Pretty much what I always say is anywhere within sight of the 95 bridge on the Susquehanna. You're very likely to find them. And when you catch these fish, don't forget, register for the invasive species count, send that picture in. It's super duper easy. It's completely free, and you can win some cool prizes. You people saw some of the awesome prizes folks have been winning. Also, you're going to have a really good bite on these guys in the Patuxent, the Potomac, the James, the Rap, all the different rivers down the western shore. Many of the eastern shore rivers have a really good bite on them now, too. The Nanticoke, the Marshy Hope. They usually aren't quite as big over there yet because they arrive there a little bit later. So you're probably talking more of the, 10-pound and under fish. Whereas on the west side, you're likely to find the shucks, you'll find them 40, 50 pounds, maybe even bigger, all the way down into the better eating size. Those 30, 32 inches are really good ones to eat. Once you get over that, they're not quite as awesome. The 26 inchers, boy, you fillet them up, they are really good. That is some fine white meat right there. And I'm not a catfish guy. I really don't love catfish. Most of the time, I just always throw them back. But a blue cat's a little different. He's going home in the cooler. All right, go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would, please. Here's another one for you Upper Bay folks. When the rockfish are shut down and there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do, white perch. And, in my neck of the woods, in the Middle Bay, white perch fishing has been problematic. My next door neighbor, a really good friend of mine, he white perch fishes religiously, and he has just not been catching them here on the south. I think, Zach, didn't you say you talked to someone who got some on the Severn the other day? Was that the river? Or maybe the Magathie?
The south, and our friend Trevor was catching them, found a nice school of big ones on the south, and our
Oh, that
friend
was the south.
Eddie Weber got some on the Severn.
Okay. So there are some pockets of fish around. And to the south, once you get from the Patuxent down, they seem to be in much better shape. But up above the bridge, the Magathie, you get up to the Patapsco, the Baltimore Creeks, all those areas, they still have a pretty decent perch bite going on. You can do the bottom rig with the fish bites, with the bloodworms. You can do grass shrimp. You can cast lures in the creeks. There's lots of options for them, and that's a really, that's definitely one to go after while the rockfish are out. No one uses clam snouts anymore. What are happening to clam snouts? You remember clam snouts for white perch bait, Zach?
My dad said that was his and his dad's.
Yeah.
Too.
That used to be the thing. I remember when I was a kid, you get a little thing of clam snouts.
I see them in the Mike's bait coolers at like the 7-Elevens and stuff, and the little
Really?
Tupperwares, but I've never ventured to buy them.
I have not heard of anyone using them in years, but that used to be the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a thing of clam snouts to see if I can find those perch on the south. All right, let's go ahead to the next one. And our next current bite is the bluefish and the mackerel. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, anywhere from the bridge south, you could encounter them. Sometimes they move north of the bridge. I've not heard of that yet this year. This year, so far, the blues have been up to Eastern Bay, and the mackerel have been up to maybe the Patuxent, the Gazdocks, that zone. That's sort of the general area, or the northernmost general areas that they've been caught in decent numbers. I mean, heck, people, it's a Chesapeake Bay, and this is fishing we're talking about. You never know. You could catch a Spanish mackerel off a rock haul tomorrow. It could happen. It probably will happen. But in general terms, Eastern Bay south for the blues, the Patuxent south for the Spanish mackerel. Now, we were hoping to see some today. We did not. It is one day to the next, who the heck knows. But they've been around. They've been in good numbers. And hey, really cool thing here on the bluefish, a lot of them have been big. We're not talking about 12-inch snappers. We're talking about, 4 or 5 pound tailors. There have been a few people have said choppers. I don't call blue a chopper until it's over 10 pounds. And haven't seen photo evidence of that recently. But they've been decent sized fish. My son Max got one that was probably, well, we measured it. It was over 30 inches. It was probably 5, 6 pounds. And that was down towards Calvert Cliffs. So there's some nice ones around. So what are you going to do? How are you going to target them? Go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would, please, Zach. You can see here we are trolling. Now, I'm a light tackle guy. I like throwing the light tackle stuff. One of the few exceptions I make is I will troll for Spanish mackerel. Now, generally speaking, it's not really what I want to do. It's not what I have in mind. And I'll have my light tackle on the boat. I'll have my spinning rods set up, and I'll have them sitting in the rocket launchers. And I'll go to the general area where the Max the Blues have been found, and I'll start trolling around. And if I catch them, great. If I don't, oh well. But the whole time, like every 15 minutes, I'm grabbing the binoculars and I'm scanning the horizon. I'm looking for the birds. And I'm trying to find where the fish are hopefully going to come up and break water, and I can go cast to them. And that has been happening. In fact, we were fishing with Eric Packard today, and he mentioned that he had birds on bluefish. Oh, shucks. Zach, do you remember when he said that was? It was recent.
I don't recall exactly now.
It was like within the last few days, and that was off of Point Lookout. Shucks, we've had reports of them off the Patuxent. Oh, where else? Mouth of the Chop Tank. They've been coming up and popping up. So even if you're a light tackle guy, bring your stuff. Hope to do it, but grab those trolling rods. Now, what are you going to pull? I got the hose on this one, but it's the planers, right? You're going to want to pull the planers. And here's what I do. Whoop, yeah, let's get it on there. Here's what I do. That's a number one right there. That's a little guy. I pull a pair of number ones, a pair of number twos, and a pair of number threes. That's my spread, okay? I got about a 20-foot fluoroleader with a ball bearing swivel in the middle. You can see it. It's wound on. It's right there. Ball bearing swivel in the middle. I got the hose here. The hose will make a big mess if you don't do that. The spoons will too. So I'm setting these out. Always remember, people, set these out with the highest number planer closest to the boat. Okay? So your number threes, you're going to run them. The line's going to be entering the water like 10, 15 feet behind the transom of the boat. That's it. They go pretty much straight down. So don't worry about that. Run them from the rod holders farthest forward in your cockpit, right? And the planer closest to the boat. Then your number twos come next. Your next rod holders back, have your number twos. That line's hitting the water, I don't know, 20 yards behind the boat, maybe 15 yards behind the boat. They still go down pretty darn hard. And then in your farthest aft rod holders go your number ones. And those are going to be significantly farther behind the boat. Maybe they're 50 yards back, something like that. And the reason you want to do this is because with that long 20-foot leader that you got, if you mix and match your sizes and your spots, when a fish hits a spoon and trips the planer but doesn't get hooked, and the planer's tripped, and it comes up to the surface, it'll just make a big, giant mess. That spoon is likely to wrap around another line. So you want them staggered so that when one of those trips and comes up, the spoon doesn't go back to the line behind it. So you got your threes all the way up front. One trips, it comes up. The number twos are behind where that spoon's running. Your number two trips, the spoon comes up. Your spoon is behind where those number one lines are running. And it's, if you've ever trolled planers and spoons and not done that, you know what I'm talking about, because you've had a big giant mess to deal with. I mean, it'll put you out of commission. It'll put you out of commission sometimes. You'll just get these massive tangles, and then you got a big mess to deal with. So always stagger your planers like that. All right, let's go ahead to the next one, if you would, please, Zach. And come on, make yourself big. What are we going to pull behind these planers? Small spoons. The mackerel and the blues, it's all about the small spoons. This is a gold, and I grabbed this slide in specific because gold is kind of the classic for the Spanish mackerel. They do love the gold spoons. Now, don't put out 6 gold spoons, right? Some days they want something different, and there are days when the orange and greens kill it. There are days when the silvers kill it. You want to mix it up. Normally, when I start, I'm probably going to have one number 3 with a gold, one number 2 with a gold, one number 1 with a gold, and then 1, 3, 2, 1 with something else. And if that something else catches a fish before a gold, I'm changing something, right? I'm modifying immediately to get a different colored spoon out there that matches what the fish wanted to eat. But the gold is kind of, well, the gold standard. All right, go ahead and take us to another slide, if you would, please, Zach. Okay, so while you're doing this, you can see here we got a fish on the line. We got Zach with his mackerel. And I don't mean to just harp on the mackerel, people. It's the same basic thing for the bluefish. It's really no different. Only difference being with the bluefish, you don't have to be nearly as picky about what you put out there. They generally are going to kind of, they're going to kind of eat anything. But hopefully you can see there's a much bigger bend in the rod on the left. That's because sometimes, really quite regularly, when you see the blues and the mackerel mixed together in a rampage, guess who's going to be nearby? Put out this guy. Okay, the cobia like to feed around the breaking mackerel and bluefish, and I have no clue why this is, but it always seems like it's when the blues and the Spanish are mixed. If you have a school of blues breaking water, it doesn't seem like you get the cobia around them. School of Spanish, doesn't seem like you get the cobia around them. Mixed school of blues and Spanish churning water, it just seems to attract cobia. For whatever reason. So when you've got this going on, you see this mix going on, grab one of these and throw one of these guys out. Now, when you put out your hose, everyone's got their own way of doing this, right? We were with Captain Marcus on the Rock and Robin. We were cobia fishing, and we did a video on putting a twist in your eel, and he had a different way of doing it than me, and I was really interested to see it because he knows what he's doing. And then he showed us a different way that other people do, and I was even more interested because I didn't do it that way either. But what I do, and this does work, is I take the hook of the eel, I put it through the eye, I turn it into a figure 8, and then I pull. And what that does is that sets a twist into the eel, so that when it swims through the water, it gives that pretty corkscrew. And that's what those fish like. They want that thing to give that corkscrew. So we got the hook, we got the eye, put it through, figure 8, pull. Give a good hard tug. And when you put that thing in the water, make sure it's giving that corkscrew, that swim. And if you don't see that, pull it right back out and do it again. You got to have that. Thing's got to be swimming. If it's just dragging through the water like a stick, it's not going to do any good. All right, go ahead and take us to the next slide, Zach. And I got to say, while you're pulling it up, we haven't had any questions yet. Do we really have no questions? I'm shocked. That doesn't happen often. People, don't forget, that's why we do this. Get your questions on in there, and just type them right into the comments. We'll get right to them. All right, so here, can you make that up and down, man? That's hard. That's driving me nuts.
I wanted to show how big that was.
That was a horse mackerel. That was a beast.
That was Computer John's first mackerel. It was like 28 inches.
That was his first?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Yeah, that was
before he jumped off your boat and threw your rod in the water. That was a different trip.
Same guy. Yep, Computer John. I can't
rotate it. I'm sorry.
That was a beast. And what you see hanging out of that fish's mouth is one of my favorite things to throw when the mackerel and the blues are visible. When they're breaking water, when they're under birds, you can tell where they are. I'm pulling right over and I'm throwing something like this. This is often one that I'll throw. It's a GI rain minnow. I love these things. They cast a mile. They sink like a rock. You can rip them back to the boat. And remember, you really want to rip, right? Especially for the mackerel. Bluefish like it fast too, but especially for the mackerel, you cannot physically reel fast enough to pull a spoon away from that fish. You can't do it. And I'm not just saying that. I've actually tested that. At one time, we took a very high gear ratio spinning reel, about as fast as they get, getting a kick in my neck.
Because it's sideways.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's driving me kind of nuts too. Anyway, we took a high speed spinning reel and we measured out a distance. And then we cranked as fast as we could and timed it. And then we looked and saw how many miles an hour are we really, someone else did the math because I can't do math. Walt would be great for this. Max Speed Walt would be great for this. And we figured out how many miles an hour we were reeling at. And with a 4000 series spinning reel, you're like breaking your arm to get 5 miles an hour. Like it's virtually impossible to hit 6. I think we may have touched it once. Most of the time when you're reeling at like 2-3 miles an hour. And we don't really realize that because, whoever tests the speed of their lure when they're reeling it through the water with a 4000 spinning reel. And Chris is saying trolling for Mac is all about speed. Got it fast. Yeah, they like it fast. They like it fast. So yeah, if you're throwing a spinning reel, crank that thing as fast as you can. Speed to troll for Kobe. If you want to target them in specific, 3-4 miles an hour is about where you want to be. You really don't want to go a lot faster than that. I would set it at 3, personally. That's plenty of speed. And plus, you're pulling planers all the time when you're doing it, I can't say that I've ever found anything that really works better than that 3 to 4 zone. That just kind of seems to me that's where you want to be. All right, so go ahead and pop up the next slide if you would, please, Zach, or we can go to Jay. Jay, what do we got here? How do we get rid of the dolphin all the way up the South River eating everything? That's funny. So what Jay's talking about, it's interesting. They have been up the South River. I know in past years, I've never seen them like all the way up. Like when we were croaker and spot fishing, we saw them, I don't know, half a mile south of the bridge. They were way up there. You know what though? I mean, I don't know, man. Do they eat everything? Do they chase everything? Sure they do. They're really just big fish trying to make a living. I don't worry about them too much. I remember when I was a kid, you couldn't go to the Chop Tank River and not see dolphin, and we had oodles of fish. We got a lot of problems on the bay. We got a lot of things going on with a lot of different fisheries, and a lot of times, we look to the factor that we can see, that we can put our finger on, and we say, dolphin. We got a ton of dolphin. What are these dolphin doing? Are the dolphin chasing all the fish? They are. They absolutely are. Earlier this year, I think it was in May, I watched dolphin chasing rockfish out of the water. The rockfish were literally jumping out of the water like this, trying to escape the dolphin that were trying to eat them. So yeah, they got an impact. They are kind of eating everything, but I don't know. It's hard to blame them. They're trying to get dinner. All right. What do you know about the status of Discovery Village and Shadyside? So, okay, good question. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Discovery Village is a boat ramp, one of the very, very few on the western shore of Maryland between Sandy Point and the Patuxent River. There are very few. We have terrible access in Anne Arundel County. And that boat ramp is a really good boat ramp, and it's in really good shape, and it was repaved and kind of redone recently with funding that nice job. Funding that is, to be used for public boat ramps. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Anne Arundel County said, yeah, you know what? We're not going to deal with it anymore. The owner wants to sell the property. The county's been leasing it. Owner wants to sell the property. Go ahead and sell it. We're done. And it really has been a big blow to boaters in the area. Now, the latest that I've heard is that, well, first off, I think we're good for the rest of this year. Next, I think it's July 2027. I might have this wrong, but I think it's July 2027 when the lease extension that they figured out runs out. Now, honestly, what's going to happen? A lot's going to depend on who wins the election for the county executive, because there's at least one candidate who has promised, the county's going to acquire this property. We're not going to let this shut down. We're going to work on this. I don't know what positions the other candidates have taken. And I'm honestly, we're not quite to election time yet. I'm not familiar enough with all the different candidates to tell everybody where everyone's stance is. I don't know at this point. But a lot will depend on what happens in November and what the county decides to do. Are we going to acquire the property? Are we going to continue leasing it and figure out a way? The owner of the property, evidently, they're like done. They don't want anything to do with it anymore. So that is a TBD. I apologize for not knowing more about the individual county candidates. I hope to when we get closer to election time. But until then, you can look this up, and there are stated positions. At least one candidate, I believe it's one who worked for Pittman, who is the current county exec. I believe he has said, yeah, this matters. We're going to buy this property. And just for the record, the amount of money they're talking about, that would be required to buy the property, I'm pretty darn sure the county has spent a whole lot more on pickleball courts. So, it's doable. It's not like an outrageous amount of money or anything. All right.
May I add to that?
Absolutely. Please, Zach.
There is a community organization that is trying to keep that boat ramp open, and you can find them on Facebook. However, this is the only free boat ramp in Anne Arundel County. And I brought this page up because I wanted to show that at this point, they are basically saying use it or lose it. And they are tracking how many people are using that boat ramp, because it was initially closed down because they said less than 100 people are using it. Well, now they do have strips in the parking lot measuring vehicles passing through. And as you can see here, the word is out. The numbers have risen up to 351 back in June. So that's nearly, that's a 150% growth over a couple of months prior to that. So, almost as many people are using the Shady Side ramp as they are using the Sally Cove up in Pasadena. So use the ramp. We could lose it. So they want to make sure this is a community resource, that boaters are using it. And if you need a boat ramp, check it out. Use the ramp.
I'm super glad you brought this up, Zach, because I forgot about this. And when you use it, make sure you go over the little strip they set out to count, because at one point, people were complaining that they placed the strip where you didn't have to drive over it to use the boat ramp. Do you remember this?
I do. And I feel like it was almost sabotage.
Right. Like they had stuck it somewhere where you didn't drive over it. So look for it when you go to the boat ramp. I think they fixed that. I think I heard they moved it back to where it belonged or something. But that's, that may be why, May was so low. Because May, a lot of people should have been using that ramp.
Well, a lot of people thought it closed. So,
Yeah, that's true too. A lot of people don't know. All right, let's get on to the next slide. What do we got here? What are we talking? We're back to Mac and Blues.
Oh, we got more questions.
Wait a minute. Mike loves to see the Dolphin and Pelicans this year and has still been catching. Healthy bait, question mark. Well, yeah, it's kind of, it never ceases to amaze me how healthy one piece can be while another piece is suffering. And the Pelicans are a good point. What, Zach, how many Pelicans did we see today?
Yeah, a couple dozen.
Yeah, they were like all over the place. We saw Pelicans in Eastern Bay Monday. I think it was Monday afternoon we were out in Eastern Bay. Pelicans flying around. So, yeah. And Steve, hey, Steve. Steve says, how about the ocean? I'm fishing next week if you want to go. Oh, my God. Steve, I will be emailing you. I love that comment. Everybody put in a comment like Steve's.
I think he's asking for a coastal report.
He says, if you want to go, I want to go.
Okay, okay,
I want to
okay.
go.
How about the ocean? I think he's saying like,
He's
let's
got,
go.
he's got, I'll tell
Oh,
you
he.
what, that guy has got as good a coastal report as I've got. I can tell you right
All
now because he's
right.
down there a lot. But on the coastal side, we're seeing the black sea bass bite is great. Flounder bite's been pretty phenomenal for a lot of folks. Much better than one would expect. Tuna's been a little thin lately. Marlin are out there. People are getting whites. A few blues are getting caught. They are out there. But the big catch right now for the guys running offshore, more than anything else, is the dolphin, which you would expect about this time of year. They really came on. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we started seeing pictures of the mass catches of mahi. They're there. They're there. They're on the edges. They're at the balls. There have been some inshore, but not a lot. Just a few here and there. That may have changed. That can flip any day. I hope they push in more, but it hasn't been fantastic. But Steve has been catching. He's been making phenomenal flounder catches. I mean, we're talking boat limits and nice fish. So Felix is saying, what's the best way to target blues and mackerel when there's no bird action at Point Lookout, Maryland? Well, it's going to be trolling. It is going to be trolling. It's going to be setting out that spread and trolling up and down along the channel edge, in the river, along the outside, along Point Lookout, and keeping the binoculars handy. And that's kind of the thing, and like I say, I'm not a big time troller, but I carry the trolling gear for blues and macs because when they're not up top, they're not up top, and it's really, really hard to target them other than trolling. And you might troll for 2-3 hours, and then they come up top, and then you get to go through with light stuff. So it really, that's going to be the thing to do. And troll. Keep the light stuff handy. Be ready to throw at any moment. Keep the binoculars out. I carry a pair of Fujinon 14 by 40s gyro stabilized binoculars. They will give you a serious leg up. If you're at Point Lookout, I've done this. I swear to God, it sounds crazy, but I've done this. If you're at Point Lookout and there are fish breaking water at Smith Point, you will see them with the 14 by 40 gyro binocs. You won't with regular binocs. You won't with most gyro binocs. The 14 by 40s, you'll see them. I have literally done that, and it took me so long to run from Point Lookout to Smith Point. I'm like, oh my God, am I sure I saw birds? I stopped like 3 times on the way and looked again to make sure they were still there. And they were. They're pricey, but they give you a serious leg up over everybody else. Kyle saying he loves them. Yep, they're phenomenal. One other that I want to mention, Cytex Sirius. I think they're either 10 times or 12 times magnification. I forget which. But the Cytex Siriuses are really, really nice. Doug's got the 16s. Man, you got me beat. I'll bet that is awesome. Dang. That makes me jealous. But the thing about the Cytex Sirius binoculars is that they are very small. Like you can literally drop them in your jacket pocket. They're very light, so you don't get tired of doing this all day long. And they're inexpensive. They're like half the cost of the Fujinons. So they won't show you the birds from quite as far, but they do a pretty darn good job. And if you don't want to take the leap, they're a good one to go for. All right, what do we got up next, Zach?
Well,
I can't hear you.
Tim had a question, and it said, in the surf. I think maybe he's just asking about, is the surf report?
So the Reds have stopped. There was a great bull red run on Assateague this year. This summer has been pretty fantastic, but they petered out. A lot of sharks for the big baits, and kingfish. Kingfish and spot have been biting pretty darn good on the fish bites, bloodworms, and the bloodworms. Now, interesting you would mention that when we're talking about Max and Blues. The piers, like the Virginia Beach Pier, and what's the other one inside? I'm blanking on the name. The different fishing piers, and some in the surf, they've been getting some Spanish Mac. They've been pushing in close. We had a report just last week from a subscriber who was catching the Spanish Macs in the surf. So that's pretty darn cool. That's going to be a game pretty much of throwing spoons, and that's not an easy task to catch a Spanish in the surf. That's kind of a tall order to attempt to do that. Not that it can't be done. Blues in the surf, kind of a piece of cake. Cut up a piece of fish, stick it on a hook, throw it out there. If there's bluefish around, he's going to eat it. All right. Let's get to another slide, or we're going to run out of time. Holy mackerel. And the next one's a good one. I got to go on the next one. I got to talk about this one. Here we go. People, this has become my numero uno favorite when there are mackerel and bluefish breaking water. Look at his left hand. What's that? That's a popping cork. And then there's a 3-foot leader. And then there's a tooth-proof plastic. Not a regular plastic, because these fish will bite them in half in no time. A tooth-proof plastic. They're a pain in the butt. They're tough to get onto the jig head. Then you got to glue them on and all that business. They're a pain. But that popping cork rig works magic. When the fish are up top, breaking water, and then they're disappearing. Then they're breaking water, and they're disappearing. Cast that thing out. That popping cork, the noise, it just sucks the fish over. They love it. That clicking and that clacking. If you ever listen to sounds of bait fish underwater, it's a very similar. It's like a clack, 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 clack. That's the sound they make. I don't know how. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but that's the sound they make. That popping cork's a killer. Now, don't fish it like you would fish a popping cork for a redfish or a speck, okay? Totally different ballgame. What you do with this thing is you throw it out as far as you can. When it hits the water, you just chug it. Chug, 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 chug. Almost as if it was a surf topwater lure. Just chug it. Chug, chug, chug. All the way back to the boat. And we've already talked about how the mackerel loves speed real fast. You want to rip that thing across the surface and pump that rod tip so that popping cork is just bang, 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 making a ton of noise and a ton of surface disturbance. It works really, really well. I never would have believed it. And then these folks showed it to me. Oh, man, I'm blanking. Zach, help me out. The name of their tackle company?
Mike and Julie, the founders of Hardhead Custom Baits.
Hardhead. Thank you. That's their rigs, their popping cork rigs. I took them out to go fishing for mackerel and blues, and I had spoons on my rods. And they're like, oh, this is how we do it. And I'm like, what? And I think between Mike and Julie, I think they caught 3 or 4 mackerel, and I missed one hit before I was like, all right, give me popping cork. And I put it on, and boom. It really works good. If you haven't tried this one, folks, give this a try. And Felix is saying, do blues or mackerel go near Kent, Narrows, Maryland, or closer to Annapolis? Absolutely, yes, kind of. So often when the mackerel and the especially the mackerel, but also the blues, when they come up the bay as far as the Annapolis area, where you're going to find them is kind of near the ships, right? Where all the ship anchorage is, where the ships anchor. They'll be there. They'll be a little closer into the mouth of the Severn along the contour that runs north-south. Those areas, they like. Often that's going to be where they'll pop up. It's, these fish follow the bait. So it really depends on where the bait is. But what happens is those ships, all those ships anchored up out there, they are required by law to have illumination at night, not just your anchor lights, but, deck illumination. They got these big sodium halide lights that light up the ships. At night, that just sucks in the bait fish. And then the sun comes up and the bait fish are still there and they kind of hang around in the area. So that tends to pull in a lot of fish. Bluefish, they'll go clear up into the Severn sometimes. They're kind of a you never know sort of thing. Kent Narrows, you will absolutely catch blues in Kent Narrows. More often, more fish in Eastern Bay itself. And the mackerel in specific, you know what? There's no doubt in my mind that sometimes somebody caught a Spanish mackerel in Kent Narrows. I mean, stuff like that happens. But generally speaking, you're going to want to at least be out into the open Eastern Bay to look for those fish. The mackerel generally, they're not like structure fish. They don't go in tight and close. And so they're going to be where the bait is, right? If there's a big giant ball of bait hanging out near the hill, that's where you're going to find them. If there's a big giant bunch of bait hanging out, just a little bit south of Parsons, that's where they're going to be hiding. Now, I went out looking for them Monday evening with my wife and my son, and we went to the hill because there have been some big bluefish at the hill, nice big ones. We didn't find them, and we ran around. We went south pretty quick. We didn't stick around real long. We didn't have a lot of time. But what I did see was a lot of bait, and I'm not a bet man. I don't like to make bets. But if I were to bet money, I would bet that blues and mackerel are probably very likely to pop up at least for the next month or so, right around the hill in that area, the mouth of Eastern Bay. They've been popping up south of Poplar too. That's often a really good spot for them. So we'll see what happens. But off Annapolis, absolutely. Outside of Kent Narrows, definitely. All right, what do we got here? We got one more slide. We can bop through this next one real fast. We're almost out of time, so let's just slap it on up there. This is a real simple one, but I just wanted to put it out there. Yes, you can fly fish for these fish. They absolutely will go for flies too, so you're not just limited to the trolling or casting to breaking fish. It's tough. It's going to be hard, to get one on a fly. Don't expect it to be easy, but it absolutely will happen. Chris is saying for Mac, water temp needs to be above 80. It's best above 80. It can be a little lower. I would go back to max speed. Max speed Walt's whole max speed process. If you go to Fish Talk's website, you can look it up. It is what do you call it, Zach? Like a mathematical rundown on the best trolling speed for mackerel at specific temperatures. I think it goes down to 78. I might be wrong, maybe 76. But yeah, warmer's better. Over 80 is definitely what you're looking for, and we've got that throughout the bay right now. We were seeing 82, 83 in Eastern Bay. Oh, here's how the formula works. Holy cow. How'd you do that fast, Zach? That was amazing. No, I'm wrong. He's over 80 degrees on all of them. I was wrong about that. Whoops. But the formula, like 1,000% works. It really does. It's a phenomenal thing. So anyway, you can get them on the fly. You're probably gonna need to see them breaking water in order for that to happen. You really will. And look, you popped me to the next slide before I even got past it. Okay, but that's fine. So I put this slide on here for one reason. That's my buddy Vadim. He caught it on a BKD. I was there weeks ago and didn't see a strip. Maybe talking about the hill? I'm not sure. We've talked about a lot of spots. Probably the hill, because it was one we just talked about. Steve saying to eat Spanish raw sashimi ceviche is good. Talk about how to preserve max. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point, Steve. Yeah, you can sashimi them. You can ceviche them. What is most critical with these fish is the moment you bring them onto the boat, you bleed them and put them on ice. And I've actually expanded that a little bit with the whole ikejimi thing, because I spike them now. The difference in the meat is spectacular. And the very best way to do it, if you really want to do it right, keep your live well running. And when you bring one of these fish onto the boat, slit its gills, throw it in the live well, leave it in there for about 5 minutes. It'll bleed out. I forgot the brain spike part. Bring it to the boat, brain spike it first, then slice it, throw it into the live well, give it about 5 minutes to bleed out, and then just bury it in ice. And the meat is fantastic. A lot of people sell it short. Same with bluefish. Bluefish is really good. Chris is saying he smoked them from last weekend. Yeah, smoking these fish is fantastic. Bluefish, Spanish mackerel, smoky fish dip. Oh, it is awesome. Zach makes a mean bluefish dip. I've had that one before.
Your recipe.
My smoking recipe.
You smoke them up different, and it works. It works. My brine recipe.
Your brine
But
recipe. It's Brad's smoking recipe.
is it?
Lenny's brine and dip recipe with Brad's smoking recipe. It's a charcoal over charcoal. It makes a difference.
It is good.
It's more tedious, but the charcoal smoking is oof.
Yeah, and I don't do the charcoal. I do the electric. So, but man, it's good. But the preservation is key. And then here's the next thing. Not everybody wants to smoke them. Maybe you want to fry them up. Maybe you want to bake them. Whatever. Great. If you treat them like this, they'll be fantastic for 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days. Eat them by then. Don't freeze them. These fish do not freeze well, both mackerel and bluefish. They just don't. And generally, when you freeze them, the meat gets really mushy when you defrost it. It's just not nearly as good. It's a fish that deserves to be eaten fresh. But if you do that rigmarole, you do the ikejime brain spike, slice the collar, bleed it out, bury it in ice, you'll be shocked. I mean, when I was a kid, honestly, I'm not making this up, people. When I was a kid, the way you did a bluefish was you took it off the hook and you threw it in the bucket. The bucket. And then maybe, I don't know, 2 hours later, somebody would empty the bucket into a cooler that had like an ice block in the corner. And then we'd wonder why the bluefish was all mushy and everybody said they didn't like bluefish. That's why. And it's really the same thing with the mackerel. You got to treat them right. Treat them right. So the reason I wanted to put on Vadim here on this slide, you can see that's a BKD hanging out of his mouth. BKD is a great lure. I fish them all the time. I love them. When bluefish and Spanish mackerel are around, I will not be fishing a BKD. 9 times out of 10, they'll bite it right in half. As they will any other plastic, with the exception of the toothproof versions, which again, they're a pain. You got to glue them on. You got to really work them over the jig head. They're a little tougher to deal with, but you kind of got to do it. This right here, what you see in this picture, that was a 1 in 10 shot at best. You're going to go through 10 regular plastic lures before you ever actually reel one of these guys to the boat. So if you're going to use plastics, go toothproof. If you're not, go with the spoon. But sometimes it does happen. Vadim got lucky on this one. That was a nice mac. I remember that day. That was at the ships off of Annapolis. That was right off of Annapolis, and there were schools of bait around and little pockets of Spanish that were just blasting through them. And you'd see them really briefly, and then they'd be gone. And then you'd see them really briefly, and they'd be gone. And Vadim, he got lucky with that cast. He got it. All right. Well, people, we have run through our slides. If anybody has any questions you'd like to get in, we're only ever so slightly over time. But I never mind sticking around a little bit longer to get in extra questions. If anyone's got any questions, so if you haven't, put them up right now. I do want to remind everybody that we've got those events coming up, the CCA event in Annapolis, the Conservation Night. We've got Legacy coming up in late August. That should be a great time. Go to the calendar, check them out. And gosh, people, get in on that invasive species thing. It boggles my mind that we don't have like every angler up and down the bay sending in their pictures constantly. And a lot of people do, but I would think more people would, just because it's free and you win prizes and you're helping the fishery scientists figure out where these fish are, where the concentrations are, what they're eating. It's a lot of valuable information. And it's kind of cool to participate in citizen science, right? It really is. Remember, Zach, we did all the tagging for a while there. That program kind of wound down. It's sort of sad. One of the main reasons it wound down is because the small rockfish, we just weren't catching numbers high enough to do a lot of tagging anymore. And I'm sure everyone's seen that. The little rockfish just aren't around like they used to be. Tim saying crabbing report. Tim, crabbing has been good. I went out the week before last and filled up my bushel basket. Now there were a lot of females and smalls. It was not as good as it was in June, but there were still plenty of crabs around. The big downside was jellyfish. There were just swarms of jellyfish everywhere, and they got all over the line. They got all over my hands. I went like this. They got on my face. Jellyfish were a real problem for running a trot line. If you're running traps, you won't have as big a problem with them, but it'll probably still be an issue. Although it seems like in the last, maybe week? Is that about right? Maybe the last week, the jellyfish have toned down a little bit. They're not as bad as they were. Is that about right? It's been like a week, right?
I mean, we didn't see any today, but last weekend it was a sea of jellies in my area.
Last weekend was.
A sea of jellies. I mean, they're
Oh, they were
everywhere.
everywhere last weekend. Okay,
But
so
I haven't been out on my creek. Well, my
we
two
might have just
creeks.
been lucky where we were today.
Yeah. Well, there was turtles around too. Don't they eat them? I don't know.
I hope so.
Maybe that's sea turtles. I don't know. Whatever.
Please, more turtles. Um, yeah. From we've had some reports coming in from the Patuxent of good crabbing. Where else have we had good crabbing reports? Makes sense. Well, right? Yeah, yeah. Thank goodness.
We saw a ton of
There
crabs
haven't been a
today.
ton of really good ones other than that, I don't think. But yeah, there is good numbers. They were in 8 to 10 feet of water. That was kind of the zone. That was the zone. All right, Zach, do we have any final questions?
I think we're all caught up.
All right. Well, people, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it tonight. Don't forget, we'll be back next month. Check out Fish Talk. Check out fishtalkmag.com. Heck, subscribe for our fishing reports, people. We're putting some real effort into making those reports better than ever because we have asked people to subscribe now. So, we want to deliver a little more. And, I should mention to folks, when you subscribe, you get access not only to all the gated areas on the website, but also we are now doing videos that are purely for subscribers. And we're trying to get into some real detail and sort of do more, get a little more in depth than we ever have before with the videos. It's how to stuff. And we've got, I believe, 2 up right now, right, Zach? And a third one coming.
Correct.
Yeah. And more will come down the line. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it, people.
One
Oh, a
last
sea turtle in the chop tank. Cool.
One last final question. What's your best app or website to follow wind and tides?
Ooh. So fish weather is what I've always used. Honestly, all the weather reporting, and all the wind, in my opinion, has gone to heck. Like it all stinks now. And I think that's probably because it all comes from the single source. It's all from NOAA is what they base everything on, the constant observations. I don't think you can get a good wind report for tomorrow. Honestly, it's just gotten terrible.
There is an app I downloaded called Windy, and it gives you multiple models. I mean, yeah, but again, it's just and for tides, I like tides near me. It's
Hmm.
find your location. It gives you tide and current stations nearby, and it's pulling the NOAA data, but it's super easy and a simple app. So I like that one. And then like if you have I went to a Steve Griffin seminar, and he taught us how to use your electronics to find tide stations on your fish finder on your GPS, and
Yeah, tides are in your chart plotter
it will give
unless
you
it's ancient.
the speed and direction of the current. You just have to find the little red icon or blue icon on your GPS.
Yeah, virtually all modern ones have it. If your unit's not 10 years or more old, then you've got it in there. That just tides, right? Not wind, just tides. But the wind, the forecasting. I still think fish weather is kind of the best. That's the one I like, but it's pretty terrible these days. This morning was not supposed to be blowing 15 out of the 15 out of the south, and when I went to bed and checked the night before, it was 5 to 10 out of the southwest. So what are you gonna do?
Cool. And just
Tough to
also,
throw.
you can also, you can just go to fishing reports, and there is a synopsis of each regional report if you just want the free report. But for the detailed regionals, we'd appreciate if you sign up, and you'll appreciate all that detailed information.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks
you,
for tuning
Zach.
in, everybody.
We appreciate it, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Zach, for all your hard work and for staying awake.
I made it.
You made it after that trip today. People, will see you next month.
Catch them up.